Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey y'all, happy Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well. And I forgot to turn on headphone monitoring, so it sounds like I'm down at the bottom of a well and no lassie to be found. That's better. All right. The right people will get that reference. Again, happy Sunday. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday with me. We've got a little bit to cover. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants because, as you no doubt noticed, yeah, I haven't got my spoil board finished, so there's no spoil board video. I think I have kind of decided not to post a spoil board video simply because I already have 3 of them on my channel. So it's basically lather, rinse, repeat, cut the mounting holes, bolt it down, lay down MDF and T-track, and we're done. So I probably won't do a spoil board video. The next video will probably be something on the rotary axis simply because I can't wait to get on it. But before we get going for today, let's go ahead and do a shout out. And if you have any questions at all, by all means, go ahead and throw them here in the chat, and we'll get to them over the course of the show. But for right this minute, I want to say good morning and thank you to my buddy Steve over at Harneal Media. I'm here to tell you, if you are thinking about even toying with the idea of getting a website, but you really don't know where to go, you don't know the first step, you don't know what all's involved, you owe it to yourself to head over to Harneal Media and hit that contact us button and just have a chat with Steve. He will take care of you. He'll do as much or as little as you want. If you're an experienced veteran to websites, he'll back away and let you handle it. Or if you're like me and feel like a caveman holding a pocket calculator, he'll do everything and you just kind of sit in the background. He's very, very, very competitively priced. And more importantly, he's very, very good at what he does. What I like best about Steve is complete transparency, and he gives you performance. He gives you results. He doesn't give you excuses. So if you're even toying with the idea of the website, I would get over and talk to Steve. He would be my very first stop. You'll find a link to Harneal Media in every video and live stream on this channel, and it's that way for a reason. Do yourself a favor and get over and talk to Steve. And thank you for everything that you do, Steve. I really appreciate everything you do. Let's see here. Today, what we'll do is I'm kind of sort of riding coattails, but kind of sort of not. As you've undoubtedly heard, the Draw Curve tool is back in version 12 of the software. It's not readily apparent, however, but suffice it to say, what has happened was they heard us. I have this mental image of Vectric looking out over the landscape and seeing the pitchforks and the torches as we head towards the castle, and they did something about it. But basically put, in version 12, the first iterations, they removed the separate draw curve tool. And that set off a firestorm. It wasn't used as much or as often. It was used much more authorized. And they thought by incorporating it into the draw curve tool, or excuse me, the draw polyline tool, that would be fine. Those who wanted to use it would muddle through and figure it out. I don't know that that was their exact thought process, but they did want to streamline the interface. And let me go ahead and bring up Aspire, and we'll talk about it here. And this is the same for VCarve, by the way. Everything I'm going to show you in Aspire right now is the same in VCarve Desktop and VCarve Pro. But what they wanted to do was streamline this section over here. And they decided that all of these icons, they needed to reduce the number of icons. And that's what this decision was mainly made about. was making everything look a lot smoother and getting rid of a lot of useless icons. Ben West, you are the man, the myth, and the legend. Thank you so very much for that super chat. Holy cow, Ben. I see you're also a channel member, but haven't seen you in any of our members only live streams. If you look on the community tab here on my YouTube channel, you'll find a link to this tomorrow's members only live stream. And I hope to see you there. Thank you very, very much for that super chat. I do appreciate it. This whole thing was an attempt to get rid of a lot of icons over here that weren't used. Now, they had started off by removing these 4 icons right here. The no, cancel, create a new project, save the current file, undo, and redo. And the reason they wanted to get rid of those was they figured everybody uses the keyboard shortcuts and you know how to use the keyboard shortcuts. What they didn't realize was far too many people just don't use those keyboard shortcuts. So they made it an option. You don't have to have these 4 icons up here on top. You can turn them off. I have them turned on right now. And you can turn them off by going to the edit menu and then coming down here to the bottom to options. Then you'll scroll down in the options to general settings. Then under general settings, you'll see show additional file operations. Right now, mine says yes. If I click in here, that's a drop down menu and I can select no. Now, when I click OK, those 4 icons are gone. Now, because I'm using Aspire, I have modeling tools down here that you won't have. But they decided they wanted to clean this up. I'm going to speak personally here. They say they didn't have room for a draw curve icon. I disagree. I see an open spot. I think they could have moved the dimension icon down 1 and put it right here between arc and freehand drawing. But what can I say? You know, I'm not the person making the decisions. So that was the rationale behind getting rid of a lot of these icons. Now, if you're like me and you add the align objects icons here, it doesn't really make a whole heck of a lot of sense that they would try to get rid of icons because now my icons go almost off of the screen, you know. But that's me. I prefer having my align objects out here. Getting into the draw curve tool within the polyline tool is very simple. I'll go into the polyline tool and I'll come out here. And if you look at my cursor, you'll see that the cursor is a bunch of angled lines between points. And I have my XY readouts. So what this indicates is right now, I'm drawing polylines. So if I click and then move over here and click, move down here, it's drawing straight lines between the points that I'm creating every time I click. Okay? And just as you would expect. But if you look down here in this second paragraph in the instructions, you can press the letter S on your keyboard. So I'm doing that right now. And I bring my cursor out here, and now you see that I'm drawing curves. Completely different. So I can come out here and draw more curves this way, come around this way. And there we go. Hit spacebar to accept that polyline. Now, this doesn't have to be an either or thing. You can draw a combination of polylines and curves, by, for lack of a better term, by changing horses in midstream. Like right now, I'm drawing curves. So I'll draw a curve here and a curve here. Now I click the letter S and I draw straight down, and I've got a polyline. Now I can come over here, hit S again, and I'm drawing another curve. So you can do them both within the same vector. So I've got to admit, I don't use draw curves very often. And as a matter of fact, I didn't really miss it all that much until I got into one situation where I was attempting to trace some vectors. That was when that became valuable. That's when I decided I needed the polyline. And the former way of doing it was just a little cumbersome, where they had you clicking and dragging. Now you can decide whether you are using polylines or curves. Now, Michael Ludwig says, but if you click and drag, you will get a curve. Yes, that's true. They did not deactivate that. And what he's talking about is, let me go ahead and tap S. Oops, come back over here. Let me tap S so that I'm drawing polylines. If I click and release, then click again, I'm drawing a straight polyline. But if I click and drag, I drew a curve. That has not changed. So if you click and drag, you'll get a curve. But it's not that is no longer the only way to get a curve. Now you can make a choice. You can do the letter S, and it will switch from drawing a straight line to drawing a curve. There is one slight issue to watch out for, okay? And this is one of the updates, one of the things that got fixed in the update, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. If you'll notice I've got right now, I have the jagged angular, I'm drawing straight lines. If I press the letter S without moving my cursor at all that happens is my X and Y display went away, but my icon on the cursor did not change. So it looks like I'm still drawing polylines. But if I move that cursor a bit, just a little bit, it now switches over to curves. That's a slight lag that has been reported and still needs to be reported to Vectric, because it's very similar to another tool. There was a slight lag in another tool that I'll get into in just a second. But that can be deceiving, because if I tap the letter S again, my XY display goes away, but it still says I'm drawing curves until I touch, I move that cursor. So just be aware of that. You know, if you hit that letter S, you have changed. It's just not readily apparent that you have changed until you move that cursor. This was an issue that they had, click off. This was an issue they had in the draw text tool. And we'll make sure I'm just drawing text, not text in a box. And I'll type my name. They added the edit spacing and curve tools to the create text form. You bring your cursor down over here, you'll see the T next to the cursor arrow. Now, if I zoom in and bring my cursor up here, you now see the V and the A with the two arrows, and they're pointing inwards, telling me that if let me zoom in a little bit more. If I click between the M and the A here, it's going to move those closer together. So click, and it moves them closer together. If I press and hold the shift button, you see how those arrows changed instantly. The minute I pressed that shift button, those arrows changed. Well, in the first few iterations of version 12, those arrows were exactly the same as the draw polyline versus draw curve that I was just describing. You had to move the cursor before those arrows changed direction. Well, they fixed that in this most recent update. So we need to report that they need to fix that also in the draw curve versus draw polyline tool. Because if you're sitting here wanting to move these apart, you press down that shift key, you need to be able to see immediately that it's going to move those apart. So that's real helpful as far as getting that taken care of. Now they need to apply the same thing here so that when you tap the letter S, it instantly changes to draw polylines and not just take away your X and Y readout. So the comeuppance of all this is the draw curve tool is back. And I don't know, to me, that kind of reinforces the fact that if you have an issue, if you have an addition, if you have a feature request for Vectric, send an email to Vectric support. They do listen. That's where they get their ideas for overwhelmingly most of their updates and upgrades. And if you ask for something, they will take it seriously. They will listen. That's not a guarantee it's going to happen. Some things they just can't incorporate. A lot of things they just can. But on both sides of this coin, number one, if they don't know it's broke, they can't fix it. And number two, they can't add it if they don't know you want it. So do by all means reach out to Vectric support. They're a good bunch of people too. So let's see. Ben West says, "I really appreciate what you do." Well, thank you, Ben. I appreciate everybody viewing, and you've been most generous. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see. One of the other things that came out in this latest update was they've now added the ability to draw arcs in the 3D view. In the past, you could really do nothing as far as vector creation in the 3D view. Now you can. But let me throw a caveat in on this. If you are going to draw vectors in the 3D view, and sometimes that is necessary. If you're working on doing a little bit of tracing or drawing a vector around a 3D model or in a 3D model, having that 3D model visible here in the 3D view and being able to draw a vector right on top of that 3D model, sometimes that comes in real handy, especially when you're planning on trimming certain things out of the model, whether you're using level clipping or you're using some of the 3D model editing tools down here. So previously, about all you could do was you could draw a line, and yeah, you could draw a curve, and you could even draw a parallelogram should you choose, but you couldn't draw an arc. There are still a lot of things you can't do in the 3D view simply because of the mouse buttons involved in working with it. they had to make some changes within the 3D view to make certain things work. The main thing they had to change was, let me close this here for a minute. The main thing they had to change was you no longer can orbit or move your 3D view with the left mouse button. That's now limited to the right mouse button. So to orbit your 3D view, you're now using the right mouse button. That means they can't incorporate anything that uses the right mouse button into the 3D view because it conflicts with orbiting. So, for instance, if I select that parallelogram I just drew, tap the letter N to go into node editing, I can't right click to bring up a context menu. It thinks I want to orbit. So there are very few things I can do in the 3D view. I can select a point. I can move that point. And that's basically about it. I can't right click and insert another point. Let me try my keyboard shortcut. If I put my cursor over that midpoint and I hit I, no, it doesn't create it does not create a new point. If I hold my cursor over this point and I tap C, no, it doesn't cut the vector. If I put my cursor over this point and tap D, no, it doesn't delete that point. I still have to go back into the 2D view to delete that point, cut that vector, and insert a point right there. So, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. All right. So you're still pretty limited on what you can do in the 3D view as far as working with vectors. But you couldn't even actually draw an arc in the 3D view, which you now can. And I just draw through 2 points and I go like that. But I want to change the height to 2.5 and we'll apply that, and that changed my arc there. Now I can do that in the 3D view where I couldn't before. So let's see. Jim Brown says, sure would like to measure in the 3D view. Yeah, I don't think you can measure in the 3D view. Let's see. No, it's not going to let you measure. I agree with that, but there are ways of getting it done. We can go to the 2D view, go into the measure tool, and we can click that endpoint, and it'll tell us we've got a distance. But there are ways to do it, but it involves drawing further points. You know, you can you can draw another vector here to there, and you can see on your readout right there that it's 8.0952. Tap the escape key to get out of that. And if I go over to my 2D view and I measure, it is the same measurement, 8.05952. So that's one way of measuring within the 3D view, is to, I'm going to 3D view again, excuse me. Go into your create polyline, make your start point where you want that measurement to start, then drag your cursor over to the end point where you want it to end, and then you can see the readout right in the center there of what that measurement is. You don't have to actually draw that line. You can just hit escape and it'll close that tool without creating a line. So, let's see. Eric Girth says, Vectric should offer us an update to major tools being removed and allow us to know. We get blindsided when they just do it, and we have to fight back to get it back or understand why. Um, I won't disagree with that. I won't disagree with that. It would be nice to know that they're contemplating removing a tool or that they're changing a tool. However, especially something on this scale, this was a huge departure from previous updates. And just dealing with the one that still gets me, just dealing with the orbit being the right click now, where I'm starting to get used to it. I mean, I jumped all over the place trying to figure out how the heck do I orbit this. I couldn't remember it, and then suddenly, oh yeah, got a right click. So, Mike Bernasconi brings up a good point here. Make sure you are directly in top view when you're drawing in the 3D view. Yes, that is true. If you're kind of off a little bit over here and you go to draw an arc and you do like so, well, then you go in and take a look at it from the top. That may or may not have been the arc you wanted. When you throw your perspective off like that, shapes can change without you knowing they're changed. So just make sure that you are in the top view. So, but in practically speaking, Eric, I do agree with you. You know, it's taken me longer to get used to the new icons than it did to get used to the new color scheme. Um, the new icons for join open vectors, that didn't make sense to me and it didn't register to me what it was. Group and ungroup are similar. I didn't recognize them for what they were. You know, I think the chain link and the broken chain link was, you know, it was just something that I was used to. So, you know, it just kind of, it didn't make sense to me. Some of them do make perfect sense. Others don't really. So, what can I say? But in principle, Eric, I do agree with you. You know, but one thing to remember is, unlike a few other software companies, if you are licensed for example, version 11.5, you don't have to update to version 12 because 11.5, you're licensed for it and it works. Updates are always voluntary. There is no end of life on these. Unlike other software companies where the new version comes out, the old version doesn't really work anymore or is filled full of bugs they never bothered to repair, Vectric doesn't do that to you. You know, if you're having an issue in version 11.5, they'll still help you. It's not, well, you have to upgrade to version 12. So, um, let's see, what else was I going to mention? They fixed several bugs. There was a bug with the text kerning, edit text spacing, not updating. They fixed that. There was a bug with the rotation center in the rotate tool. They allow you to draw arcs in the 3D view. Basically, a lot of what they did in this most current version with this most current upgrade is they fixed a lot of bugs. And this is normal. Well, as normal as you can be, I guess. I believe in version 11, not 11.5. I believe in version 11, they got into 15 updates for bug fixes before 11.5 was released. And then there were a lot of bug fixes in the latest update to 11.5 when it went to 11.55. They incorporated a lot of bug fixes and introduced one or two upgrades for that too. So Pete Bune says Vectric doesn't issue updates to previous versions, so how would they fix a problem in a past version? I'm not 100% sure they don't update past versions. I won't say they do, but I won't say they don't either, because I really honestly don't know. But if you have a bug, and there are a couple of bugs that a few of the beta testers have discovered, and they went in version 12, and then when they went back to 11.5, that same bug existed there. And that's being worked with. Now, having said that, I don't know if that means they're going to issue a patch for version 11.5. They might. So I don't know that for a fact. Okay, Frank Majewski says I'm able to left and right click to rotate in the 3D view. Not using any special keys while you're left clicking? Because if I come over to the 3D view and I left click, all I'm doing is drawing a selection box. Now, having said that, you can turn any vectors off in the 3D view, and that still am drawing a selection box. But if I right click, I can orbit. Now, let me try. It used to be you held down shift. Okay, I can pan around by holding control. And I can, yes, if I hold down the Alt key, I can left click. So that's what I'm doing right now. I press and hold Alt and left click, and I'm able to orbit. I press and hold Control, and I'm moving it around as one piece. But now if I left click without any of those cursor or keyboard buttons, it just draws a selection box. So that's interesting to know. Thank you for making me look for that. Then I can turn back on my my vectors. Now, Frank says, works for me, no lie. Okay, I'm not doubting you. I'm just telling you that I can't. So consider yourself lucky. I mean, it may be a setting you have in your mouse that I don't have on mine. I've got a little weaky squeaky 2-button mouse with a scroll wheel out here, and that's all I got. In the office in the house, I've got an 8-button mouse that drives me crazy because I haven't changed the programming on one button yet. But let me throw something in here that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and it does come in handy, and it does create confusion. And that is, or those are, these icons up here in the 2D and 3D view. Okay, we've got them up here in the 2D view as well. They go unnoticed. And I've seen a couple people get bit by them. And what I mean by that is, I was watching another content creator last week, and I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not out to embarrass anybody. And he was having an awful time because every time he imported a bitmap, it wouldn't show up. Turns out what it was he had bitmaps turned off. And that's what this icon right here does. That will turn on and off a bitmap. Let me go ahead and get rid of these. And I'll import a bitmap. File, import, bitmap, and I don't know what bitmap I'm going to import. I'll import my pirate. Okay, we're good. got my bitmap imported. Now you want to work on the vectors and the bitmap is in the way. All you have to do is turn it off. You just reach up and click that icon. But if you notice, that icon is gray. That means your bitmap is not going to show up no matter what you do. And that's the issue he was having. He didn't realize he had bitmaps turned off. So he would import a bitmap and nothing would show up. Well, click that button and there it is. You can use that for various things. This one here will toggle the toolpath drawing visibility. And that will toggle whether it's wireframe or solid. So what does that mean? Let's turn off the bitmap. Let's draw a vector, close, go over here, and I'll do a profile toolpath, cutting 1/4 of an inch deep, 0.25, 0.25, like I said. And we'll use a 30-degree V-bit, and we'll cut on the vector so it doesn't go all the way through. And that's all I'm going to do. And we will calculate that toolpath. Okay, if I come over here in the 2D view, it is selected. It's visible. It's selected because it's highlighted, and it's visible because there's a check mark. And I can see the toolpath. Well, I can turn that off so I don't see the toolpath. All I see is the vector. Now I do see the toolpath represented by these arrows. That's where the bit is going to carve. Now, if I zoom in a little bit closer, I can make it solid instead of this wireframe. So now I can see exactly where that bit's going to go, and I can get an idea as to how wide this V groove I'm going to carve is going to be. Now, if I decide that this is wrong, that's my vector, I want my V groove out here, I can come back in to the toolpath, machine to the outside of that vector, recalculate the toolpath. Now when I come over here to the 2D view, I see that my V groove is on the outside of that vector. Maybe I have some more artwork I want to put in here, a 3D carving or something like that. So that's a little trick that you can use that comes in very handy, is the ability to see exactly how wide that V groove is going to be and where it's going to be placed in reference to this vector here. And it's simply by turning it from solid to wireframe or from wireframe to solid. And that comes in real handy. Now the ability, I'll be honest, the ability to see that toolpath drawing visibility, I can turn. That doesn't really help me. I could see what would help some others, but that doesn't really help me because I can just come over here and uncheck it. But if you're over here in the design side, you don't want to have to jump over here and uncheck it. You can just go back over there. I get it. I just don't use it that much. But that doesn't mean you won't. So, yeah, the ability to turn bitmaps on and off, that does come in handy. And so just know what you got out here and realize that if something weird is happening, look up here at these. This is toggle component preview visibility. Let me turn off my bitmap. Whenever you hear the word component, think 3D, because that's what a component is. It's a 3D component. Let me go get a dome, and we'll get that one. Put that in the middle of my material there. And there is my 3D component. I come up here and click that, and now I don't see it in my 3D view, or my 2D view. It's still over here in my 3D view, but I don't see it in my 2D view. I may have to draw vectors or do something out here, and this 3D model is just in the way. Well, I can turn it on and off with this one. And I can turn on and off my pirate. And I can change the way my tool paths are displayed. This was put here to make it easier for you so you don't have to jump back over here into the toolpaths tab to check and uncheck, and then go back over here to the design tab. So, all right. Michael says, that's where I always thought the measuring tool should work on 3D view. And again, Michael suggested, I mean, send Vectric support an email asking that they make the measure tool work in the 3D view. It's possible they're already working on it. So, let's see. Let me get myself together here. We have another question from Ben West. I have VCarve desktop. I want to go to Pro. Okay. Do I have to pay the $600 and lose the $300? If so, how and where do I go? I rounded off the price. I'm a rookie. The short answer to that, Ben, is no. Vectric is a good company in that respect. You just pay the difference in price. So you have VCarve desktop now, and that was whatever price it was. I don't know. And you see VCarve Pro is X amount of dollars. You pay the difference in price. Okay. If you later decide that you want to upgrade to Aspire, you pay the difference in price. You don't lose the money you've already spent. Where do you go? You go to your V and Company account, your V and Co account, and you'll see all the information there you need to upgrade. There should be a link there to upgrade to VCarve Pro. I can't show you that because I'm licensed for Aspire and it won't show up on my V & Co account. But right there on your V & Co account, there should be all the info you need to upgrade to Aspire. And again, you just pay the difference in price. You will not lose what you've already invested. So, yeah, Steve said, I just went from desktop to pro. They only charge the difference in price. Yes, they're very good about that. They are very, very good about that. That's one of the reasons why I like that company. Just one of the many reasons. Let's see here. All right, Alan Williamson has a question about my members only live streams. He says, are the videos you do live for the private members recorded? I asked because I would consider joining, but being based in the UK, the time difference would be an issue to view live. Yes, they are. If you become a channel member, you will have access to all of the previous members only live streams. All as of tomorrow, it will be 103 of the members only live streams. It's been a lot of fun and been a lot of good information, a lot of meh information, but we have a good group of people. And to include a gentleman who is in Scotland. And I think he's my only UK member, but I could be wrong. But yes, they're all recorded, and you'll find them on the you'll find them as a channel member on the live section when you go to my YouTube channel. And in fact, let me go ahead and bring that up because a few people have asked me similar things. And give me a second to find it. And I will drag it over here. Boom. And go back All right. If you just go to my YouTube channel, right now you'll see that we are live. Holy cow. But if you look down below here, you'll see videos, the videos I have uploaded, and you'll see the live streams. You will see all of the members only live streams that are available. All of them are available. If you go to playlists, you will see the members only playlist. Where's it at? It's there somewhere. I'll have to find it. Created playlists. Brian video. Members only. There's a members only playlist right there, and all the members only videos are on that playlist. The community tab. I got to watch what I do here. Okay. This is where you will find links to the members only live stream, and only members will see them. You'll find, depending upon which tier you sign up for, you'll find either the link to join me on camera, or you'll find the link to the members only live stream. But that'll be posted over here on the community tab. So just pop over to my YouTube channel and you'll find all of that stuff. So I hope that answers that. That was probably more than you wanted to know, but that bears repeating because I do get asked about that. And yes, as Brooks Martin says, we have a great group on the members only sessions. We have a fantastic group. Some extremely talented people that are more than willing to share their techniques and how they do it. Let's see. Joe Costello, great job helping Garrett on Wednesday night. Thanks. I have a lot of fun with Garrett. That's a good group of people over there as well. A lot of people misunderstand. We are not in competition with one another. We both believe. Now, Garrett's got a business to run. I'm retired. I don't want a job. Okay. So Garrett has to think about his bottom line. He has a business to run. He has employees to pay, and he's got family to feed. I'm retired. I don't want a job. So I am no competition to him. I just like having fun with people who like CNC routing. And doing this kind of thing is fun to me. That's why I keep coming back. I'm very, very fortunate in that regard. I have met a lot of great people in this journey that is coming up on 10 years. And I've been helped by more people than I can count. And I just want to give some of that back. I'm not an expert. There are people, literally billions of people, that can do this better than I can. I'm just not afraid to make mistakes in public, point out those mistakes, and try to help somebody recover from those mistakes. I seriously believe that we're all in this together, and the only way we get better is sharing information. And so I put myself out there to share the information. My overall goal is to let you know that this is not over your head. There is no secret. There are no mysteries. If you are willing to put in the time to learn, you'll be running circles around me in no time. And that's what it's all about. This is not over your head. I tell folks 10 years ago I couldn't spell CNC. Now I've built 4 of them. And it's due to help from peoples like Dave Gatton, Bill Griggs, more than I can count, Javier Unzueta. A lot of people stepped up and helped me out, Chet Wetherill, because I had all these questions. And I just want to pay it back. I'm having the time of my life and meeting some exceptional people and working with some exceptional companies. And if you want to do this, the only thing stopping you is you. You've got to be willing to put in a little bit of time, get into the software and learn it. And, the rest is easy. Let's see. Mohammed Asif says, I'm from Pakistan. I'm already using Aspire 10.5. I want to use Aspire 12.0. Can you send me free of cost? The short answer is no. The short answer is no. Nobody can. And if they say they can, what they're giving you is a pirated version. And if you use a pirated version of any software, in my opinion, I think you deserve every virus you get. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. No. Yeah, that's not happening. Not for me. Beware. Be very aware that any inexpensive version of any software you get from eBay or off Amazon, although Amazon's been pretty good about pulling them all down. But if you find Aspire for $50, what you're doing is you're getting that pirated version of Aspire that you can get for free on the Russian websites. You're getting the same thing, viruses and all. You're just giving them $50 for the privilege. So, I'm very pro intellectual property. I'm very anti theft, and that's all that is theft, in my opinion. Papa's Workshop asks, how's the rotary axis going around? No, it's going great. I have had other things going on in the background that have consumed like the last 3 or 4 days of my life, and I have not been able to get back to it. Soon as I get the spoil board mounted, which should be probably tomorrow, I'm going to start work on the rotary axis. I've already got a couple of designs drawn up that I want to cut, and I'll be pulling out the table saw and ripping down a few 2x4s and getting them put on the rotary axis and just start carving away, and we'll see how it goes. So, are there any questions at all about anything that we've talked about, where the draw curves tool is, what these goofy looking icons up here mean, and how do I go about using them? Or up here in this corner here, you can click on that icon and that just changed to your 4-way arrow, so you can pan, turn it back off so you're in standard select mode. Then you have the 3 different zoom levels, and with nothing selected, if you click the center, you're just going to center up your material and zoom into a good limit, meaning just kind of zoom into the center and center it up. If you select something and click on this one, it's going to zoom into that selection. That comes in real handy when you've got a couple of real small vectors over here and you need to zoom in on them. You can just select those vectors, click that, and it will zoom in and put you right on top of those. So, then this one here is, you can draw a box. Draw a box and zoom to it. I want to zoom to the skull. And there you go. Then I'll zoom back out. Now I want to zoom in on his earring. So I'll click on that icon and I'll draw a box around his earring and it zooms me in on that. So just various zoom tools that you can use that actually come in very handy. Come on. Oops, nope. I got to get it off of it. There we go. I was still in the zoom to a box. There we go. And I use this one a lot, believe me. Okay. Um, Mohammed, I'm going to refer you to their website, which I'll put in the chat right now, but it's also down in the description, vectric.com, and you'll find all the information there. Now, if you have a licensed version of 10.5, the update will be a lot cheaper than the full retail if you have a licensed version of 10.5. And I can't give you a price. You can't buy it from me because I'm not a reseller. Um, I can't give you a price because your situation may be different. So go to vectric.com and check there. Okay. So, doesn't look like there are any more questions. So we'll go ahead and wrap this one up a little bit early. Next week, I am not sure what I'm going to be doing. I will try to be better prepared. It's just I've been kind of scrambling the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys are interested or not in this. One of the things I'm doing is I'm adding uh, I'm cheating like a big dog, but I'm adding an overhead camera rig to get better uh, views, especially of the rotary axis. I'll be cheating by using Unistrut. Are you interested in that? I don't know if you're interested in how I run a camera or anything like that. If you are, I will shoot video, but if nobody's interested, I'll just do it and keep my mouth shut. So let me know. Put your answers down in the comments. Wow, Steve Canard, thank you very much for the $10 super sticker. You guys are you guys are really, really generous, and I appreciate it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I have the best viewers on YouTube, and this kind of thing just it's proof. Your generosity is more than proof. Um, so next week, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I know Kurt, you're interested in that. Kurt and I've been talking behind the scenes. He's going to be doing videos soon too. Um, I'll shoot some video if for nobody else for you, Kurt. What the heck? I don't know what I'm going to do next week. Channel members, tomorrow we are going to be. Brooks Martin has been sending me stuff for about the last 2-3 weeks now. We're going to get into some of it. He's having some issues and he needs your help. And it has to do with it's not 3D. It's 4 inlays, but he's having some issues with his Z-axis that I don't think are machine related. I think there may be. Well, we'll get into it tomorrow. Also, let's see. I think that's it. So we spent a lot of time talking about members only. If you don't know what I'm talking about, um, you can hit that little join button down there next to the subscribe button. You're not joining anything. You're not paying anything. Your A panel will pop up and a video will play that'll tell you all about channel members. And again, we have a great time on Monday nights. I've got a private Facebook group. We have a online chat that gets rocking on occasion. And if you already are a channel member, again, head on over to the community tab here on my YouTube channel. Click that, scroll down like I'm not gonna, and you'll find links to the members only live stream sessions. So I guess we'll call that a route for today. Um, I'll see everybody next week. I'm going down the mental checklist and flipping through the mental Rolodex. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for your generosity. Thank you very much for spending part of your Sunday with me. And go out and do something cool. Make some chips, make some sawdust. Or if you're already done with that for the weekend, fire up the barbecue and make some good victuals. Y'all have a good week. Thank you very much. Y'all take care.